I wanted to talk today about a little lesson that my matron's been teaching me on the regular, through researching her and through journaling her, and things that have come up with that for me, and definitely things I need to kind of confront about myself on the shadowy side. And that is the idea of perception, how you are perceived by others, and that can kind of tie in along with the broom closet and everything else along that idea. So for those who don't know, my matron is Persephone. She's definitely called out to me a lot through different ways. And one of the things that really struck me with her is the idea that there is almost no mythos examples from her perspective. And by that I mean that it's either, there's two ways I've heard a lot of tales about especially her abduction with Hades. And that is either from the perception of her mother, which is very like she was kidnapped and she was crying the entire time that she was down in hell, etc. and so forth, or hell, the underworld, I should say. And then there's the aside from her husband where she was definitely captured, but she found peace and solace and really enjoyed her time in the underworld and did not want to return with her mother, but to make peace with the fact that she was constantly destroying everything up top. She went with her mother back for half the time of the year, and the other half was down with her husband, where she was really happy. And I'm trying to find as much research as I can about both, because I'm trying to find something from her perspective, because there's either like the idea of the mother whose child's been taken away, or that of the loving life. Like there's really nothing of just hers, and it was really bothering me that she was either or of these perceptions. She's seen as the victim, either a victim of her mother and her perception of what her mother is doing, kind of entrapping her in this virgin state where she can no longer find love ever because no one's worthy of her daughter, or she is basically an abuse victim because Hades took her without her permission. And this victim perception really was bothering me for a while, and how everyone kind of views her as this very delicate thing. And what got me with it is that if I think of a woman in today's society, or women in general, and how complicated they are, it's never one or the other, right? Like it's always way deeper and way more intrinsic than it is. And it probably was, if I thought of the tale as a real story that happened in today's society, that'd be something, it would be a mix of both, right? It would be a mix of probably a bit of an overbearing mother, probably a bit of a guy who is trying way too freaking hard, but then turned into love and a caring for of some sense, and also a love for her mother, like not a hatred for her mother. It'd be more of that. So this is something that when I journal with her, it is interesting what things in dealings with her and a lot of deep meditations I've done with her, where I'm kind of like looking like, what's the truth? What's the truth of your story? What really happened? Which one is it? Were you for your husband or for your mother, a bit of both? And she never gives me a direct answer with this. Instead, she turns it on me. Why does it bother me so much that there's not a direct answer, that everyone perceives her as the victim? And it really has to question my ideas of why does it bother me so much, the perception everyone sees of me and of my matron. That perception, our reputation, is of high value to me when maybe it shouldn't be. It's of course a need to have a certain respect, I guess, from others, and sometimes that needs to be demanded or asked of other things in general, but other people's opinions shouldn't matter that much. They don't define really who you are. If it was a true story that happened ever, this mythos that had occurred, would it really matter what everyone thought, or would it be that this woman went on and lived her life like it was fine? It matters how I experience my life. From my perspective, there are some perceptions that might aid or hinder me, but overall it is my perception of me and how I feel I need to look at myself that really matter. It's not how other people view me or how other people see me. It's entirely more of how I view myself and how their perception affects my view of myself. And I think that has really come up a lot with my need to claim the word witch and not claim it, and broom closet and not broom closet, and being hesitant in claiming certain things or exploring different parts of the craft, that type of deal. That really matters to me, of the perception. What does it look like? What will people think? And my matron has really been guiding me in that it doesn't matter what other people think. And also the idea of multiple facets to a person, right? Because Persephone is the loving daughter. She is a princess of vegetation. She is a goddess of flowers and spring and rebirth and renewal, and she also is the sign of death, the queen of the underworld. These are in some ways opposites, but live harmlessly in her because she is the coming and the bringing of the death and the life of the vegetation. And there's something else that really always bothered me about it, where her mother is the goddess of all growing things. She grows them all, right? So I think this is one part of her mythos that really always bothers me. And Persephone is also the goddess of the spring and the flowers and plants. And yet you're trying to tell me that her husband at some point tricked her with a plant. Like, he didn't slip her a vial of weird concoctions, he didn't put a weird curse on her to change her perception. He gave her a plant to eat. Her mother is the queen of vegetation. That's what she is. She's the goddess of vegetation, of growth, and all those things. And Persephone is in a lot of ways also the goddess of vegetation with spring and the harvest and things that come around with that. So you're telling me that someone who was surrounded by that much knowledge of vegetation didn't know exactly what she was eating when she was offered the pomegranate? Seems very odd to me. Parts of this mythos of that nature, when people sway it certain ways, that's what really bothers me. But why should it bother me? Regardless of how she got there or however everyone else perceives her, she is the goddess of spring and the goddess of the queen of the underworld. That is what she is. And she is Hades' wife for all intents and purposes. Like, that's how that goes. So why does it matter what everyone else perceives her as, if they see her as the victim or not? If she holds that power and holds it with reverence and beauty and grace, then it shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. But to me it still does. For me it still rubs the wrong way for some reason, which is definitely something that I've had to come to grips with. It's definitely something where I'm like, well, this is a weird contradiction, a weird mulling of what bothers me about it, what rubs wrong about it, what is it that really grinds me, and how does that reflect in my own being, in my own craft? What is it that rubs me wrong? Because it's probably something that's also personally rubbing me wrong. So yeah, in the comments below, is there anything about your goddess or god or patron or matron that you follow that part of their mythos or their story, or even perceptions that other people have of them that really rub you the wrong way and you had to kind of confront that or really face it? Because goodness, this perception of my matron as a victim really just, it grinds me. And it's weird accepting, so that I have to be like, yeah, maybe she is a victim of it, and maybe she did not claim it for forever. Maybe she took that word and also turned it around. Who knows? So anyway, this is part of Utober, so we're getting so close, guys. There's only a few more days left, so like and subscribe below if you like these videos, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.